Yes, Madam Counsel, who is the next witness?
Your Lordship, we have a witness from the Multimedia Group who is here to testify.
Let him mount the witness.
Please swear him in.
He is our witness number 2. Recorders indicate that he is witness number 2.
Bible. I, Erastus, Asare, Donkor, do swear
by the Almighty God
by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
to this committee
shall
be the truth,
be the truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Please, if you could take off the mask, since at least there's nobody really around you, so that we can hear you well. Okay, please give your full name again to the committee.
Erastus, Asare, Donkor.
Please, where do you work?
I work as a broadcast journalist with the Multimedia Group Limited in Kumasi.
In Kumasi. Okay. And can you tell the committee what exactly you do there? What's your position? What job you do exactly?
I started with Multimedia in 2012.
No, what is your position? What role do you play?
So I'm a broadcast journalist, and my duty include field reporting and also producing documentaries and features.
Okay. So, in recent times, as part of your work, have you had any coverage of any news item in the town of Ejura in Ashanti?
Yes, my Lord.
If so, can you tell the committee when this was and what led you there for the coverage?
My Lord, on the morning of 29th May.
May?
29th May.
Okay.
2021. I was assigned, together with my team, a camera technician and my driver, to...
For me to be extra sure, we are in July now. Are you saying it's 29th May?
Yeah, 29th May.
May, all right, continue.
Was it July? My Lord, I think it's July rather. 29th July. June, rather.
Thank you.
June. So we were assigned to go to Ejura to cover protests in the wake of the death of a social media activist popularly called Kaka. So we left here around 8 a.m. in the morning, and we reached the scene, that's the street of Ejura, at about 10 minutes past 10 in the morning.
Please, can you, for clarity's sake, can you tell us how many persons you went with, if you know their names, if you give it?
So we were 3. The driver included, that would be 4. The driver included, that would be 4. So myself, Erastus Asare Donkor, my camera technician, Kofi Asare, and Nuruddin Mohammed, who is a colleague reporter. And the driver's name is Peter Ziga. Peter Ziga.
You can go on, please.
My Lord, we reached Ejura at about 10 minutes past 10. When we got to the main street, we were met by angry protesters numbering over 600. When they saw us, they told us not to raise our cameras. They indicated they were unhappy because
Sorry, sir. Before you proceed, you said when they saw you, they told you not to
they told us not to raise our cameras.
raise the
Yes,
camera.
like begin
Not to record.
Yes, not to record. And their reason, my Lord, was that when their brother was killed, we were not there to broadcast events leading to his death. So some of them started using their hands to bang on our vehicle. But after my colleague, Nuruddin Mohammed, and one of the protesters at the time, who is now deceased, my Lord, Nasir Yusuf, spoke to them in Hausa, they calmed down. So Nasir Yusuf formed a ring around us. So we could perform our duties.
May I ask you, was Nasser the only person who kind of tried to protect you? Because I'm wondering how him alone could form a ring. So was he the only person, or?
In fact, there were two, my lord.
Okay.
The other person's name do not readily come to mind. But he was very active, following us wherever we went. So they now allowed us to film the demonstration. My lord, some of them were holding sticks.
If you say some of them, who are you referring to?
I'm referring to the demonstrators, my lord. Some of them were holding sticks, knives, machetes.
Choice of words, very important. Were they holding sticks or wielding sticks?
Some were holding the sticks and some were waving them like that.
So they were wielding sticks?
They were wielding, yes, my lord. And some of them were also angrily chanting their grievances and their anger at the death of Kaka.
May I ask you, please, did you perchance get to know what your colleague told them in Hausa that made them calm down? Nuruddin told them that made them calm down, that allowed them to now, yes, made them allow you to film now, when earlier on they had said they wouldn't.
He told me that they told them we are here to do our job and that we are here for them, to listen to them and broadcast their feelings to authorities.
Thank you. You can continue.
Initially, when we started filming again, there were more angry youth coming towards us. And so Nasir Yusuf, who is now deceased, directed us on which way to go. At a point, he directed us towards some tall buildings where we could film from. And then at a point when he saw we could film from the ground, he brought us back to the street. So we walked and filmed with the demonstrators. At a point in time, we will run ahead of them and film. And then wait till they catch up with us. At a point, there was a makeshift structure painted in NPP colors and paraphernalia. They started attacking the structure with the sticks and machetes. And finally brought it down. After that, we moved some few meters from that spot. And myself, my camera team, and Nasir moved forward to film the demonstrators. Then we saw the police water cannon vehicle approaching. Closely behind it was a military pickup with the inscription Operation COVID. Operation COVID.
Please, can I ask, before you saw this police water cannon vehicle, since there was a protest going on, had you seen any policeman earlier before you saw the water cannon?
No, my lord, there was no policeman or woman on the streets throughout the demonstration.
What about any army personnel?
No, my lord.
Okay. You can continue, please.
My lord, we saw 4 armed military men in uniform step out of the military pickup. Come again, my lord.
We first saw one following with the inscription Operation COVID.
That's the same pickup, my lord. So 4 armed military men stepped out of the pickup and then formed a line and started firing into the air.
Say anything prior to firing these shots?
My lord, if they said anything, I wouldn't have heard them because of the distance.
And the firing was into the air?
Yes, my lord. The firing, my lord, went on for about a minute into the air. And then the firing seemed to be coming down, being lowered.
Please, can you explain that, or can you demonstrate that? Into the air, then which angle again?
So initially, we saw them, when they stepped out of the vehicle, they started shooting at this range. Then it came something like this.
Talking about the angle of the firing.
Yes, the
I
angle
thought you were talking about the intensity. You see, the shots were into the air, then you said it started coming down. So I thought you were referring to the intensity of the firing.
my lord, I'm referring to the angle at which they were.
Very well, thank you.
At this point, I told my camera technician and Nasir Yusuf, who was behind us, to move to higher ground. So we started running. My lord, whilst we were running, my camera technician was still filming. So we climbed an uncompleted one-story structure.
So please, apart from you and your crew, was anybody else running? The other members of the public?
Yes, my lord. Soon as the military men started firing, the crowd started retreating. My lord, whilst up there, my camera technician was filming and I was running commentary behind the filming. My lord, now the firing became more intense. We saw 3 additional men in military uniforms join them and started firing as well.
Do you know how they got there? Was it another pickup? Was it a truck? How did they arrive at the scene?
My lord, I could not see it clearly, but it looks like another vehicle pulled up behind the military pickup, and I did not see that clearly, whether they got out of that vehicle or another vehicle. There was quite a distance. Come again, my lord.
But you were sure there were 3?
My lord, I'm sure. I saw them.
You can go on.
So the firing got more intense. Then you could hear the bullet sound all around you from where we were. By this time, the demonstrators were running in all directions. Just some beneath the building on the street, there is a street in front of the building. That's where all the action was happening. We saw one person in white t-shirts and black trousers get hit by the bullet. My Lord, he fell to the ground, and his colleagues who were running came back to pick him up. My Lord, we could see the hesitation because bullets were still flying, they were still firing. So at a point they tried to pick him up and they stopped. They wanted to run, they came back to pick him up again. Then they dragged him on the ground for a while, and then one of them picked him up and put him on his shoulders and started running. My Lord, all this time the firing was going on. Then from where we saw the people and heard the people shouting that another person has been hit. That was, my Lord, just beneath the building, closer to where we were. We could only see the pool of blood on the streets, plenty of it. At this point, my Lord, the crowd had dispersed to and separated on both sides of the street. There was one to my left very far away and the other to my right very far away, and the military were in the middle. My Lord, just to go back a bit, when the firing was going on, at a point you could see the armed military men, some of them get down on their knees in shooting position and fire at the crowd. My Lord, most of this was captured by our cameras. My Lord, at this point, the crowd were concentrated on the victims on the ground. We retreat. The vehicles turned around. They boarded it and left the scene. My Lord, we came down from the building and went directly onto the street. And at this point, we were able to capture the blood on the streets of the second person who got shot.
So can you estimate, in your view, how long this shooting went on for?
My Lord, I can hazard a guess. It will be about between 20 and 30 minutes.
Did you also get to know the names of the two persons that you saw being shot?
My Lord, later I learned it was Muntala Muhammad. A 26-year-old farmer. And Nasir Yusuf, 25-year-old farmer. And we learned, my Lord, he was the young man who was trying to protect us.
So can you tell the committee at what point this Nasir, who was with you all along, left you and your crew?
My Lord, it was when I signaled to the team. I told them that we should move to higher ground. At a point, I thought he was following us. He followed us up to the base of the building. It was later when we got up there that I found out he went straight beneath the building. Instead of following us.
Please, you can continue.
So when we came back to the streets, we were shown where Nasir Yusuf was struck by the bullet. My Lord, it was on the street, just beneath the building on which we were filming from.
So, when the two army vehicles, or one that you saw, the second one you're not too sure, when the two sets of army personnel, first 4, second 3, came along, can you tell the committee at that point where the police water cannon vehicle was, whether it was still around or whether it has gone?
My lord, the police water cannon vehicle was still with them. It was moving ahead of them on the side. So the street was divided into two. The water cannon was on the left side, moving ahead of them, and they were on the right side, firing.
Please continue if you can.
My lord, when we saw the pool of blood, we were shown when he was struck and fell, where he fell, you could see the blood flow over to towards the end of the building, and we're told he was rolling, trying to get up, but he couldn't. My lord, we also saw few meters from the building from where we were filming, there was an electricity transformer hanging mid-air, which has been struck by the bullets, and it was leaking fuel. My lord, from this time we saw some chiefs from the Ejura palace in black cloth coming to the scene where the bodies were. My lord, they told us they've been sent by the Ejura chief to inspect what was happening on the streets. My lord, they told us they did not invite the military to shoot at the citizens, but they invited them to maintain peace. At this time, the crowd was moving towards the Ejura government hospital. We followed up to the hospital. My lord, at the accident and emergency unit. There were 2 bodies. One was on a stretcher covered with cloth. And one was on the floor, also covered with cloth. They were later identified as Nasir Yusuf and Muntala Muhammad. My Lord, we also saw 2 people who were groaning in pain. One was being treated on the floor. And the other one was on a stretcher. There were other women who we were told by the medical superintendent had fainted upon seeing their relatives who died, and had also been admitted. My Lord, later the youth and the families demanded the bodies for burial. There was a bit of pandemonium around the accident and emergency unit, with some of them forcing their way in. And so the doctors could not even find space to work on the injured. So after banging on the doors and demanding the bodies, the medical superintendent finally agreed to their request. My Lord, it was when the bodies were released that a large chunk of the crowd followed them home. So gradually the place eased up and calm was restored. My Lord, the events that followed were that of preparation of the bodies and subsequent Muslim rituals and burial.
your narration, I suppose that the bodies were when the bodies were taken away, you were still at the hospital, or did you follow them?
Yes, my lord.
Okay, so but did you get to know where this preparation of the bodies was done? Were you there physically, or you were informed?
My lord, we were shuttling between the homes of the bereaved families and the hospital. So at a point we will go over to the bereaved families and then capture what is going on there. Then we'll come back to the hospital and still monitor how things were going with the injured.
Can you tell the committee around what time this was? You have told us when you got to the town. Can you tell us around what time, when the bodies were taken away, around what time it was?
My lord, if I can recall correctly, it was around midday, getting to 1 p.m. when the first body was released to the families. And then it took about 40 minutes before the second body was also released to the families.
Did you get to know whether post-mortem was conducted on any of the bodies?
In fact, I interviewed the medical superintendent, one Dr. Mensa Maye, and he told me, I asked a question relative to why the boys were agitating at the frontage of the accident and emergency center. And he told me that he couldn't just release the bodies to the families. They must go through a certain protocol. But there was no security at that point to also give him cover. And the way the youth were forcing themselves into the facility, there was nothing he could do than to call the police. But when he called the police, they told him, in his own words, that they couldn't come to the hospital at that time. So he said he had no option than to release the bodies.
So the question still remains, was there post-mortem conducted?
No, my lord.
All right. Thank you. So you can go.
My lord, the following day, around 10 a.m., we saw the police water cannon leading the pack, and I think about 2 military pickups full of armed men, a police van, and a police pickup truck, all full of armed policemen patrolling the streets of Ejura.
Please, can I confirm? Did you say the following day?
Yes, my lord.
Okay, so did you come to Kumasi and went back, or you stayed?
My lord, we stayed.
Okay. And how safe was it staying overnight in the town? Was it safe? How would you describe it?
My lord, it wasn't safe, and so we had to improvise and also look at our safety.
As to, if you could explain better, did you get some persons in the town guarding you, or how? How were you protected? Since you were strangers, let me put that way, strangers in the town at that time.
My Lord, we moved from the town to a different location to sleep. And then we came at dawn. We came back at dawn.
If you can continue the next day, yes. The following day, yes. What happened?
Come again, my Lord.
You said the following day. Earlier on, we did not hear you saying the following day. So you said the following day.
Yes, the following day.
Yes, okay. So please continue.
My Lord, so the following day was very calm and peaceful. We had various dignitaries visiting the families. We also heard of meetings between the chief and traditional and religious leaders, urging the youth to calm down. My Lord, that will be all.
Okay. Thank you very much. But since you said you went there with your cameraman, obviously you may have taken some videos or pictures. Do you have any such evidence to produce to the committee?
Yes, my Lord. We were filming with live equipment. And so all that was happening was live on Joy News and all our multimedia platforms. We have submitted, my Lord, a copy of the footage to the clerk to be submitted to you.
Is it a video recording?
Is it a video coverage? Is it
Yeah.
a video footage?
Yeah, the video coverage.
Footage. Okay. So can
Let's
you
mark it as Exhibit B. That's the second exhibit. Mark it as Exhibit B. We will play it
Yes, my
before
Lord.
we ask any questions.
So can you confirm what day this video footage was taken?
My Lord, we started filming from when we got there. During the demonstration, when the youth were coming from the cemetery, we learned.
So that will be the 29th.
On the 29th,
29th.
my Lord.
And
We
can
started filming from there right until when the military came in, right through when we were running up there and the shooting.
My Lord, the set footage, because we didn't want to incur any problems, it's already been handed over. So if
B.
yes, my Lord.
We are going to play it. Then if we need any clarification, we will ask you to clarify.
Yes, my Lord.
The committee members will like to ask you some questions for clarification and other answers.
Yes, my Lord.
Erastus, just a few questions and a few clarifications. You did the filming yourself, not yourself, I mean your team did the filming. It's not a film from somebody else, right?
My Lord, it's not very clear.
I was asking whether this film is an authentic film from you and your team, and that no other ones have been added or subtracted.
No, my Lord, no other ones have been added. This is from our...
So it is not doctored.
No, my Lord.
It's not edited.
No, my Lord.
When we finish the film, we may ask further questions.
Yes, my Lord.
Erastus, thank you. And I suppose my question is just to ask if this is the first time that you've covered a riot in your career.
No, my Lord.
this is not the first time. Did you find anything different about this particular one when you first got to the scene?
Yes, my Lord. My Lord, the difference covering the riots at Tafo, there was a clash between Muslim youth and the indigents of Tafo. What is different is that the military at that time were more tolerant. In fact, they used other tear gas and other things to disperse them. They fired warning shots, but nobody was shot. But with this one, you could see the military men aiming directly at the crowd and shooting. At a point in time, you could see them kneeling and taking aim directly at the crowd and firing. That is the difference, my Lord.
I see. Now, the water cannons that you mentioned, were they used at any time at all?
My Lord, the only time I saw it spewing water was after the warning shots. It was very momentary. It was just a few seconds. It poured water onto the street. It did not even reach the demonstrators.
And the demonstrators moved back, or they were still where they were?
My Lord, there was quite a distance between where the water cannon was and where the demonstrators were. And so the water even fell short of even touching any of the demonstrators.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Erastus, you said some chiefs later came to the scene and they told, I'm using you, not to you personally, but that you said they told us that they did not invite the police to shoot at the demonstrators, but they were there to protect the people.
Yes, my Lord.
Yes. Did you understand them to mean that they invited the military to come to the scene during the demonstration?
That was the inclination I got.
That was how you understood
That was
it?
how I understood it, my Lord.
That they invited them to come?
Yes, my Lord. But, my Lord, later when the same chief came to the hospital, I wanted to be sure. So I asked him the direct question, that did they invite the military personnel? No, my Lord, the question was who invited the military personnel? And then he replied that definitely is MUSEC, which is the Municipal Security Council.
Okay. The first time that you went there and you said the demonstrators approached your team, but for Nasiru, who spoke to them, and Nuruddin, did you feel threatened?
Yes, my Lord, I felt threatened, but I could also sense that they were angry, and that was not the first time. Normally, protesters are angry, but if you remain calm and try to talk to them, they understand you and they calm down.
Thank you. We will proceed to watch the video clip. Then any other questions that may arise, we will ask you.
Yes, my Lord.
Yes, Erastus, I believe this is what Joy FM showed.
Yes, my lord.
Do you have the original that you recorded?
Yes, my lord. We've added the whole package to the folder, together with what went live. So what we were showing was the live scenes, but we have added the original copies, unedited copies.
Why didn't you show that one? That is why we are here. If it is even 2 hours, we have to watch it. Because it should not be a matter for the committee members only to sit in our office and look at it. We need to ask questions. And if we are given only glimpses of what happened, how can we interrogate and ask you questions? You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because what I have seen here is a different narration of all the evidence you've given to us. Because if from the time you went, you started filming, it means a lot of the evidence that you have testified in this, before this committee, is not captured by what has been shown to us.
My lord, we have given all the videos, the raw videos to...
Yes, that is what I wanted to play. Yes. Because you spoke about another vehicle coming, and what I saw, the second vehicle had police officers, not military officers. You understand?
Yes, my lord.
And you talked about the demonstrators trying to attack you people. It is not captured there. We saw this man who you were interrogating, or
my lord, that will not be captured because they asked us not to film. And so that altercation happened before they allowed us to now film. It was after they calmed them down, then we started filming. So we don't have that footage.
Very well. Please.
But in any case, Erastus, what the chairman is saying is very important, because the authentic film, that's why I asked you whether it was not doctored or reduced to anything. We need it because if there is somebody whom we can identify, maybe for punishment, for some recommendation, it might come from the film.
Yes,
then it must tie in with your narration, the sequence of your narration. So do not think we are asking for more. What we are here for a business. And I must commend you for the bravery and what you have given this country. But we must have the fullness of what your bravery has shown before we can commend you. Maybe you are here to embellish something. Maybe you are here also to... So we want to see the full, all right?
Yes, my lord. My lord, we've given all the videos to the clerk.
So, in your estimation, how many military officers were at the scene?
My lord, I saw 7.
The gentleman in the video you were interviewing or interrogating, did you get to know his name or his identity?
No, my lord.
So, there is no way you can assist us to get in touch with him for him to come and testify?
My lord, there is a way. After the whole incident, we saw him with a couple of people we knew, so we could contact them.
Yes, we just want the evidence and the truth to be arrived at for us to make the appropriate recommendation. So if you can get in touch with any person who knows him, so that we can extend invitation to him for him to come and assist us.
Yes, my lord.
We will be very grateful to you. Yes, let me find out from you. From the video clip that we watched, it has been tagged, fix the nation, whatever. How do you relate the fix the nation agenda to what happened in Ejura?
My Lord, if I understand your question, it means the fix the country campaign. My Lord, initially what we learned was that the Kaka, the person whose death caused this protest, was a member of the Fix the Country campaign. We have not been able to independently verify that. But what we know is that he was campaigning and he was a social media advocate. In fact, the family showed us some of his videos. He took some of the videos while standing close to uncompleted projects, bad roads, and then he will he will add a narration to the video and then post it on social media. If that is what the campaigners tag as a member, then I don't know, because I don't know what the modalities are for somebody to be a member of that campaign group.
Thank you. But you see, you did not take steps to ascertain whether he was indeed a member of the Fix the Country campaign, whatever. But in the video that we watched, Joy has tagged it, wait. No. Go back where you will see the you see there is a portion where they have written something. Yes, we are all Kaka. Police arrest 2 suspects involved in attack of hashtag Fix the Country campaigner. You understand? But this is a matter you are now telling us that you did not take steps to ascertain whether in fact Kaka was a member of the Fix the Country campaign group. So why should your outfit in this particular clip indicate there that some 2 persons have been arrested in connection with the murder of Kaka, a member of the hashtag Fix the Country campaign?
My Lord, that was the tagline for Kaka and what he was doing. And in fact, the Fix the Country campaigners came out with a release indicating that he was a member and that was the job he was doing. Later on, when we went to Ejura, some of his family members indicated he wasn't a member. Some said he was a member. So there is that confusion as to whether he was a member, he's not a member. But what he did and what he was doing on social media and on his pages is similar to what the Fix the Country campaigners are doing.
You're trying to say that any Ghanaian who decides to criticize authority in respect of whatever is not going on well in the country automatically becomes a member of that campaign group?
My Lord, I'm not a member of the Fix the Country campaigners, and I'm sorry, but I don't know the modalities to be a member, and so I cannot speak to that.
Yes, my worry is that Joy carries a lot of weight in terms of the news they put out there. It has a lot of weight. A lot of people listen to Joy or the Multimedia group, and they get convinced about whatever they see or hear from Multimedia. My worry is why, if you people were not so certain about the fact that the man was a member of Fix the Country campaign group, why do you put that hashtag? Yes, it is true that the man has been killed. It can be for any other reason. It can be for any other reason. Knowing that you do not have all the evidence to be so convinced that he was killed because of his membership of hashtag Fix the Country campaign group. Why didn't you advise your people not to? You see, because you were showing it live, and they decided to put that hashtag there.
My Lord, I was a reporter on the field at the time, and the slugs and other things put on the videos will not be visible to me whilst I was reporting. And the tags we give to stories goes through a series of editorial scrutiny, which I'm not aware of at that particular time when I was reporting. So I wouldn't be able to speak to why that tagline. So whatever I say here will be my own view of what might have happened as the reason that might have gotten that tagline there. But that was the general tagline given to Kaka and what he was doing at the time.
Will you consider that tagline as appropriate?
But my Lord, come again.
Would you consider that tagline as appropriate in relation to what you were doing in Ejura?
My Lord, I wouldn't be able to tell at this point.
Erastus, I think that ethical journalism requires two things. First, that you verify, you cross-check your sources and your information, and that is then considered also fair, what you put out. Do you think that on this occasion you were aligned to these two tenets of journalism?
My Lord, I appreciate your concern a lot, but to criticize my own something that I do not have too much control over at the time I was reporting will be a bit unfair on my
but
that's what I think.
This was your story, it was your byline, and so whilst you were on the ground, I'm sure that you would have heard how this was being reported or how the commentary was going, because I'm sure there's a crossover between you and also the anchor. And so I'm sure that in asking you questions to clarify on the field, the anchor would have mentioned these hashtags and all these other things that you yourself say to us you had not verified on the field. So my question is, at the time, would it have been prudent to tell the anchor that you had not verified this and were not able to affirm, so that the editor wasn't putting that hashtag there?
My Lord, there are various divisions of our work. I was on the field reporting, and normally we do not have monitoring screens to know what actually is going on the other end of the film. So with the chaos and everything, being on the field in such an environment, my Lord, it will not even occur to you to go and watch television and see what is being done out there. So I wouldn't see it. and so it will be on my blind side.
Okay.
But there are people who deal with the slides that roll on the TV, the captions, and then there are editors who deal with other things. Mine was to be on the field and be reporting.
Okay. Erastus, just one quick question about the clip that we saw. I think when you testified, you mentioned that at some point the military had started to fire into, they had changed their angle. They had first fired into the air, they had lowered and had started to fire kind of into the crowd. But in the clip that I saw, the person who was firing, as you described, that they had kneeled down, were firing into the crowd, seemed to me to be firing at, an angle to the water cannons. Can you perhaps play that or
my Lord,
explain that? Yeah.
there are various scenes of the firing. At a point, you could see one of the men kneel and then fire.
Yes,
I think
but
he
not
knelt in about 2 different directions. He knelt and faced this way, and then at a point he knelt and faced that way. And there are a series of firing angles that we recorded. And in fact, if my Lord will ask them to play the original videos that we've given you, you will see what I'm talking about. So they fired from both angles and different ranges.
I suppose my final question would be that you say you're a documentary producer and that you also do field reporting. Is it true that camera angles taken from different elevations could give different depictions of what is actually happening?
Yes, my Lord, it's possible. If you take from the back and you zoom in terms of distance, it will look very close. But if you were to zoom out, as the cameraman was trying to do, you could actually see that the distance would be different from, and if you take it from a different angle, area views, you will get a totally different picture.
So it could well be that this person was squatting and not necessarily kneeling down, for example? That the military man who you describe as kneeling down and firing shots, is it possible that in the camera, from the angle that you were taking it, that they were perhaps squatting or in a different posture?
My Lord, it will be a choice of description, but I think the videos put it clearly what the soldier was doing. I saw it as kneeling and at a shooting position. The description might not be as another military man or somebody with a security background might describe it.
Okay.
Erastus.
Yes, my Lord.
I admire your bravery. I'm repeating that.
Thank you.
Are you happy doing this job?
My Lord, my wife tells me to quit, but I like the job.
You like the job. It's a good job, and you've done a good job. But outcomes and recommendations. That's why all these questions are coming to you. It's not, you mentioned that something is unfair. It's an opinion we wanted from you. And I'm going to repeat that because you didn't answer that question. It's an opinion to help us make a report. My questions will be around what we need to do as a country. In the first place, you said this is not the first time you are covering these. We see these on films in Afghanistan and whatnot, and you are doing almost the same thing here. Are you sure at times these things cannot escalate other ones ahead? We don't know when. We're talking about your job. The chairman mentioned the hashtag. It's not because he hates any other persons in that group, but to link Kake's death to this and the misrepresentation and the misapplication. Don't you think if I, as a member of the commission, even start talking about somebody can also link it, that reverberates and brings about other cascading, or that reverberates and gives a cascading effect? Has the media done well in this, and they jeopardize your job. Has the media done well?
My Lord, I am trying not to speak to that because being on the field is a different ball game altogether with being in the studio and being in charge of captions and slugs. So these things will be happening on my blind side, and I wouldn't have much information as to the decision, the editorial decision to go that way. So perhaps somebody above my pay grade will be able to explain.
Sorry to be rude. I want your opinion to help the committee because we are also going to give opinions. In my field, I know that the media has caused more wars than wars themselves. And you know it, as a media man. That's what I'm asking. Don't you think such reportage, you didn't tell them, you didn't put the hashtag there. And I'm saying, don't you think the media is also to blame somehow for some of the things that happen and happen?
My Lord, if there's an established link between the tag of Kaka's activities and subsequent death to the hashtag Fix the Country campaign, then I would, if the media has not been able to establish that indeed he was a member, then I would say that yes, it might have led to these. And I will not hold brief for the media. Yes, the actions and inactions of the media can cause trouble, and we've seen it in other countries.
That's all I want. And for our country, we need to be very careful. What shows that there is also in the hashtag and his death? Nothing.
In fact, nothing. And
yes.
Myself, I have not seen anything on the ground.
That's exactly what I want to establish. Finally, just give me your opinion again. It's an opinion. The facts you are giving us will be watching. What will be your recommendation to the Commission on hooliganism, the youth, and what you saw there in Ejura? Was it called for? And the media, the security agencies handling of the whole thing? Thank you.
My Lord, the carrying of implements like swords and jackknives and sticks, to me, was unwarranted. It was not in the rightful place for a demonstration. As for the anger they felt, that I think is genuine, looking from their angle, because then when I look into the life of Kaka, I visited some of the places that he was trying to project. This is somebody who felt that promises have not been fulfilled and there's a lot to be done for the people. He feels bad about it. He wants to project it to get a certain reaction from government. I think he must be able to do that and do that peacefully without being tormented or beaten. But for whether that is also the reason why the people attacked him is also another matter to look at. So I think just as the President has commissioned your office, it will be in line to get to the bottom of it. Why was he attacked really? Do all these factors feed in to why he was attacked? Then we'll be able to really understand the anger of the people, whether it was justified. And then to talk about the use of force, in quotes, by the military. I have seen some demonstrations that are also very, very dangerous, calmed without using any weapon at all. And I think that with what happened at Techiman South, the same thing. And that is what got me thinking that we should rise to higher ground, because then it's the same thing you saw men firing into the air first and then firing into the crowd and people started falling. The same thing repeated itself in this particular scenario. And I think that if we retrain or reorient the military or get proper riot control security personnel to handle these things, we won't have some of these things in the future.
Erastus, let me find out from you. The officers who knelt down, aimed into the crowd, can you assist the committee to be able to identify them? You know, we know that most military men have their name on their uniform. I don't know whether your cameraman was able to capture the identity of these officers.
My Lord, I'm sorry, but we can't. And this is the reason why. Because the situation was so fluid. We ourselves at the point we were running for our lives. Even where we were filming the thing from, you could hear the sound of bullets all around you. So we were fearing for our lives. So the idea was not to focus directly on specific details of things. And the distance too will not allow us to see name tags, for example. And these men were wearing the military hats to cover their faces. So it's not really clear unless we have experts to look into the video and to see whether they can really identify them.
Thank you. Can you tell us the length of the original uncut video? It's how many hours?
My Lord, at a point we paused in between, and so you have separate videos, but if you piece them together, that's how we do our job. We piece them together, you have one long video. I think it will be very long because it's quite a lot of videos. If we say we are watching it, it will be more than 3 hours.
Yes, can you assist us regarding the water cannon, the police water cannon?
Yes, my Lord.
Were you in town when it started entering Ejura? Were you then in Ejura town?
My Lord,
looking at the time.
My Lord, I didn't get the question well.
Were you in Ejura before the police water cannon entered Ejura?
My Lord, no. I wasn't in Ejura when I learned that the water cannon went to the burial, the cemetery, but we were not there at the time.
Thank you very much. Since the original video will take about 3 hours or more, we wouldn't like you to sit here for it to be played. We will also play it later and have a look. If there is a need for us to call you back to help us understand it better, we will do so. And we hope that when we call on you, you find time to come and assist us. We are very thankful to you.
Thank you very much, my Lord.
Discharge the witness.